Back to the daily grind. Thanks for checking out the channel. Make sure to hit subscribe if you're new and hit thumbs up if you're not a baby back bagel biting bitch boy, cause you know what time it is. It's full time.
MMA.
Alright, time for the updated UFC Sydney Fight Night predictions. Man, this card got actually a lot better if you're, gonna be at the card live, like if, for the Australian fans, for the actual Sydney card, because two people pulled out of the fight, and on my original predictions, I had them predicted to win, upsetting the hometown fighters. Well, now that's actually reversed. A lot of the hometown fighters, I believe, are going to win tonight. I think it's going to be a big night for Sydney, even though Mark Hunt was pulled off the card because of the interview he did. You know what I'm saying? Everyone knows about that history by now, but he was replaced with Werdum, who will be fighting Tybura in the main event. So let's start with the first fight of the night. It's going to be Alexander Volkanovski versus an opponent to be announced. It was supposed to be versus Humberto Bandenet, who actually had winning, but Humberto got injured, so now it's going to be Volkanovski. Hopefully they can find him another featherweight opponent in time, but whoever it's going to be, I'm going to be picking Volkanovski to win because it's going to be short notice, and likely it's going to be somebody, making their UFC debut, unless there's somebody else in the UFC that steps up and wants to go overseas for this fight on short notice. But I'm expecting it's going to be like somebody like in the Beck Rawlings fight, where Joanne Calderwood was replaced with somebody making their UFC debut, as you see up there, Jesse Clark. So I'm picking Volkanovski to win that fight, which is good because I originally had him losing. So next we go to Elias Theodorou versus Daniel Kelly. I'm not going back and doing the research again. If you want to hear why I'm picking Elias to win this fight, you can go check out the other prediction video, but I'm picking Elias. I already did the knowledge on that in another video, so boom, got him there. Also, this fight was added to the main card, Jake Matthews versus Bohan Valicevic. Bohan is the guy that Darren Till beat before Cowboy Cerrone. I actually watched that fight. Darren Till said he wasn't taking that fight seriously. Bohan was eating him up a little bit with some leg kicks, but Darren Till said he was letting him. Darren Till was, definitely still had a dominant performance. He was in there doing kind of what he wanted, really confident. And doing the research, I seen Bohan's had a little bit of a susceptibility to being taken down, and Jake Matthews looks like a strong wrestler. Now, Jake Matthews is on a 2-fight losing streak right now, but before that, he was 4-1 in the UFC, and he looked like a strong wrestler too. He scored 4-3, some odd takedowns in a few of his fights. So, and he's also the hometown kid. His nickname's the Celtic Kid, but he's fighting out of Australia. The fight's in Australia, so I'm going with Jake Matthews to win this fight. Next, we got Tim Means versus Muhammad. As in the Elias Theodorou video, Daniel Kelly predictions, I already did the knowledge on the other one. This fight's the same. I picked Tim Means to get the win, so rolling with Tim Means. Now, we got Beck Rawlings. She was scheduled to fight Joanne Calderwood in the co-main event, but Joanne Calderwood, like Humberto Bandenet, was injured or for some reason pulled out of this card. I believe they were both injuries, but it could be for another reason. So she's replaced with Jesse Clark. Jess Clark, I did a little bit of research. She's fought, I believe, once in Invicta, and it was a loss. She might have fought before that too, but this is her UFC debut. And she's fighting against Beck Rawlings, who I believe is 7-6, and she's fought like 5 times in the UFC. So Beck Rawlings is a UFC experienced fighter. Both of these girls are at home. I believe they're both fighting out of Australia, but I'm picking Beck Rawlings to get the win here in the co-main event. And I had her losing in the beginning versus Joanne Calderwood, who was like 14-2. So this is a completely different opponent, short notice, but I'm picking Beck Rawlings to get the big win here. Next in the main event, Fabricio versus Tybura. I got Fabricio. Of course, there can be an upset. This is a heavyweight fight, but Fabricio, I don't believe, would have took this fight if he wasn't very confident, because it's overseas, and he's came out before and spoke about not liking to go overseas and bringing his whole camp, for fights. But he's taking this fight on short notice, going overseas, and he just fought like last month, 2 months ago. He was supposed to be fighting Derek Lewis. He fought Walt Harris on short notice, beat him in the first round, and then he picked up this fight, replacing Mark Hunt coming over. So I'm picking Fabricio. I did a little more deep dive on the other prediction video before a lot of these fights got canceled and replaced, so that's why I had to update this. So with that being said, these are my predictions for this week's Fox Sports 1 UFC Fight Night Werdum versus Tybura. This is in Sydney. Hey, it is what it is. Let the full-time family know what the fuck you tab at in the comments. I'm out.
Da 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 da. It's the motherfucking DOWG.